In my entire life, I have been subjected to a certain religion that has controlled my way of life, thinking, ethos, and many more. But as I grew older, I started having doubts of the very place I used to fellowship in. I became rebellious in some way and was shunned by my parents because I seemed, in some other words, cursed or couldn't follow that path. I came to a realization, so did my family, that we were in a sort of cult that dictated and manipulated our psyche, and the people that were only benefiting these were people at the top. It was right that I shed light on religiousness, cults of Christian faith, and I'll be particularly talking about two individuals, Paul Mackenzie and Pastor Ezekiel Odero. But first of all, we have to know the word, what is being religious. According to Google, it says being religious means having a strong belief in a god or gods, often expressed through dedicated practices and adherence to a set of religious beliefs and rituals within a specific faith tradition. Now that we have an understanding of what this word religious means, well, let's now get straight into the story of mystique, wealth, and being blinded. First off, we have Pastor Ezekiel. Who is Pastor Ezekiel, you may ask? He is a renowned, famous Kenyan preacher who is a very influential figure who has drawn thousands of followers. He heads a magnificent church, namely New Life Church, based in Mombasa, that is a county in the coastal region in Kenya. He commands a huge congregation of worshippers who usually attend his church services, thus making him a famous figure on social media platforms. In November 2022, it is rumored that Ezekiel pulled a huge crowd, approximately to be above 50,000 individuals at Kasarani Stadium for a crusade. The event was also attended by then Second Lady Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, thus bolstering his reputation. So bro is big, also pulling influential figures, Second Lady of the country. So shout out to him, I guess, in some way. So we now know what he does. As we've now learned a little bit about his backstory, it is also right that we know who aided him in everything that is done. I came to find out that he has a connection to a certain also influential figure in the Christian faith called Pius or Pius Muiru, who groomed Ezekiel back in the early 2000s. He started out a music section, then fate in some way connected them, and they ended up meeting and being taught the ins and out of the church, and that is how they met. So we have a picture of Pius Muiru. These pastors, mega churches, right? They have immense, amount of wealth. Like you can see, bro, like in the example of Creflo Dollar, bro has instigated to his followers, to his congregation, that they help him buy a jet and whatnot, right?
I can believe God as long as I want to. If I want to believe God for a $65 million plane, you cannot stop me. You cannot stop me from dreaming.
Bro literally was living the dream. He and many other mega churches, and not only in the US of here in Africa. And here we get to see that Ezekiel has stupid amount of money, and even medias, they can't even estimate the amount of wealth that he has. So let's just check what kind of wealth are we talking about. You feel me? According to the Kenyan, his empire sits on a 65-acre land in Mavueni, Kilifi County. The multi-million investment is self-sufficient with almost all social amenities. He has several hotels and malls which were under construction. In addition, it was established that Pastor Ezekiel ran an international school and also had plans to set up residential apartments in the area. Bro also drove a Lexus LX 570 valued at over 18 million Kenyan shillings. If you do the math, that is around 18 million Kenyan shillings, around I think 180,000 US dollars. That's accumulation of someone's yearly salary just driving that car, you feel me? And in addition to that, we have to also add that the authorities have been on his cause there have been investigations about money laundering and just shady businesses on his end. As I've told you earlier, he was groomed by the so-called Pius, right? And when he was interviewed, or rather when he was interviewed, This is what he had to say about Pastor Ezekiel's wealth and whatnot, and just everything, that the controversies that he's been having. According to the Kenyan, it says that Pius claimed that he then begged me to visit the Majaoni church, which was still small and had not picked up back then when bro was trying to do his thing. What I did in Majaoni is memorable to date. I removed my shoes and gave them to Pastor Ezekiel, and I took his shoes, which were very old and in a bad state, explained Pius. After that, Ezekiel started expanding during the pandemic period. He preached on our TV stations, Nuru TV, and started receiving blessings steps by steps. First of all, especially here in Africa in general, there's mysticism and also the story of, may I say, paranormal activities, because forgive me for a lack of better words, but yes, paranormal activity, because there are things that people do out here that is actually mad. And when someone says he's giving you new shoes and you are taking his old shoes, there's a deeper meaning in that. In some way, I feel like these people pose themselves. If you're not fast, in some way, you will say, okay, he gave him the old shoes and but it's much more deeper than that. And working in a TV station, meaning that he at some point he started showing him the ins and out, especially it's your own TV stations, right? He asked for your help, right? And then he started growing,
Allegedly.
and growing. Come on, bro. It doesn't just happen that way, obviously. Here comes controversies. One being about people being unalived related to the charge of this so-called Pastor Ezekiel. And this is what Pius himself had to say about everything about that has happened so far. According to the Star, evangelist Pastor Muiru has come to the defense of the embattled Pastor Ezekiel Odero. While addressing the media, Muiru alleged that Ezekiel is being linked to crimes against humanity, abduction, and fraud, but his other colleagues are hoping for a fair trial. Stop linking Ezekiel to crime against humanity. It looks like the church is under prosecution, he said. We have so many people who are in solidarity with Pastor Ezekiel. The mood in the country is people are waiting to see how the ruling will be made. What is happening to Ezekiel is a common thing that people know, adding that church leaders are not opposed to any investigations. The only thing we are opposing is tacit prosecution, affliction, whereby someone is trying to connect Pastor Ezekiel to crime. There's nothing wrong about that, defending whoever and whatnot. But when you start seeing things being interconnected, you have to start asking questions. According to the Star, Odero was accused of committing the felony of murder, aiding suicide, abduction, radicalization, genocide, crimes against humanity, child cruelty, fraud, and money laundering. The Director of Criminal Investigation filed an affidavit asking the court to deny Odero bail terms because the crimes under investigation, by their nature, gravity, and seriousness, are complex. His lawyers insist that he's innocent and want him to be released. The two, Ezekiel and Muiru, or Pius, met around 2000. According to authorities investigating the matter, his encounters with Muiru came to shape his life significantly, would have inspired him to establish his church while maintaining a close relationship with Muiru. That is not all. Ladies and gentlemen, Odero, who runs the New Life Prayer Center and church at Mavueni, Kilifi, appeared in Chantu court but did not take a plea on any charge as police sought more time for investigations. According to the accusations made about him, the government also temporarily closed Odero's church and froze his 27 bank accounts after it linked him to the Shakahola massacre. You are just asking yourself, what is this whole Shakahola massacre? Just chillax, okay? All his crusades have since April been cancelled. According to court documents, Odero's church was registered in 2012. The church boasts of 10 million followers, and the pastor claims his troubles are instigated by his competitors. According to an affidavit produced in court, the prosecution claimed that it was evident that deaths occurred in Odero's church, which are reported to the police on April 28, 2023. Sometimes the justice system is slow, right? Because if you hear this, obviously you have to be like on alert, because if people's first lives are involved, you have to be, on the go, you feel me? The affidavit by Detective Mr. George Moirioki claimed a preliminary inquiry indicated that people who died at Odero's church were buried at Shakahola's forest. Over 420 bodies have been exhumed from shallow mass graves inside the forest. The state believes that the bodies are of the followers of Odero and controversial preacher Mackenzie. Now we have two things. We have Shakahola massacre and Peter Mackenzie. There's a Reddit that really goes into everything, bro. Netizens have aired out their grievances, and one says, you've hit the nail on the head. Politicians have a lot in common with these pastors. All they do is sell hope and outright lies. The masses are everything you said, and there's a good percentage of people who are just plain naive and who will recklessly believe what they've been told, even when they're not putting in the work or effort. I've seen people in this country trust God for a miracle for cancer healing without doing chemo or taking medication, yet the wife's pastor was in Texas receiving cancer treatment, but the pastor tells the congregation that the cancer is a curse that just needs delivering. I despise these two groups of people for taking advantage of people, but the bag must be secured of whatever the expense. People are desperate. People are tired. They need hope that tomorrow will be better, that some terminal illness will leave them and they'll regain health, that tomorrow they'll wake up debt-free, that somehow that marriage will work out, that they will get a child after years of trying, that their son or daughter will come out of prison, or their death sentence will be reviewed. You see, a dying man will clutch at a straw, hoping against all hope that they'll stay afloat and maybe someone will soon come and help them. They have literally monetized and just know how to milk the system dry, like literally, bro. You know, when you start giving people a false narrative, don't go for chemo, don't do this, God is gonna heal you, obviously God is gonna heal you, God is gonna give you this, but He's gonna give you that strength if you go and do this, because He is the one who gave mankind, obviously, the brains to become doctors, to create all this technology, you feel me? And then these people die, and then that's how it's being related, to this guy who's claiming that these people who have been unalived are not related to him. People want to blame witchcraft and demons for their poverty and lack of success in life. So when they find a pastor preaching these things that they are ready to throw themselves in the hope of becoming wealthy as this pastor, they haven't figured out that they are the ones who bless their preachers with this money. This is one example. You go out there, you go to this seminar, right? Have you seen from Pastor Ezekiel, his seminars were closed. So meaning that when he's going out there, he's saying this is a seminar for the sick, for all those who are just looking for hope in God, right? And then he comes and tell you, you know what? For you to get healed, there's packages, right? Let me call them packages.
Wanaokutolea prophetic sacrifice number 5 for 5,000. Na hiyo neema iwatangulie. Wanaokutolea prophetic sacrifice number 7 for 7,000. Uwapumzishe kutokana na magonjwa na matatizo yote. Prophetic sacrifice number 10 for 10,000. Wakamilike kwa ndoa, kikazi, kiafya. Prophetic sacrifice number 12 for 12,000. Uwape nyota ya uongozi.
I'm editing, right? So as you've watched that video, it's actually crazy, bro. This is a very interesting technique, right? So he's using, after all this has been done, like someone has, done this testimony and whatnot, he's out there saying it's good to give out offering in the church and whatnot, because that's how you support the church and whatnot, right? But now when you come into the into this extreme of saying to give prophetic sacrifice of maybe 5,000, 7,000 and 10,000, I'm like, okay, because you're gonna somehow be healed. That's Rocky a bit sus, isn't it, bro? Like for real, bro, because no Jesus in my book has ever told me to remove any sacrifice for me to be healed.
You're just blindly giving, bro. You don't think to yourself, you know what? Maybe I should pray, and also maybe I should work hard, and then if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna do this. But no, you're saying, you know what? I believe this pastor has told me this, so I'm gonna give him, and then I'm gonna wait for that job is gonna come. It doesn't work that way, bro. They sell you a false narrative called prosperity teaching, bro. Be very mindful, bro. Remember when I told you about the Shakahola massacre and Mackenzie? That is where we are headed to. Another piece of the puzzle that is gonna connect us deeper into this whole topic that I decided to talk about today.
Tuko pamoja. Ni kwa hiari ya sisi tunazikemea katika jina la Yesu.
Who is Mackenzie, or rather, what is Mackenzie? Obviously, Mackenzie is another preacher like Ezekiel. He founded this church, according to the Wikipedia, that is the GNIM church in 2003, and accumulated a sizable following, largely due to convincing his followers that he could speak directly with God. Beginning in the late 2010s, Mackenzie's church began to receive a renewed wave of scrutiny regarding the internal practices of the organization. In 2017, Mackenzie and his wife faced several charges relating to the church. He was chastised for inciting students to abandon their education after denouncing it as ungodly, which I'm going to put here.
kupitia kwa elimu, kupitia education. Maana education ile aliyokuwa wanadamu anafundishwa na anayofundishwa mpaka sasa haitoki kwa Mungu, bali inatoka kwa Waroma na Waingereza na Waarabu na Waamerika. Inatoka kwa hao.
As well as radicalizing and denying medical care to the children afterwards. Several children were unalived as a result, and in 2017, 93 children were rescued by government authority from the group. After another arrest in 2019, he departed Malindi and headed to the Shakahola forest, where the mass starvation occurred in 2023. You're also wondering, what is this starvation you're talking about? I thought you were just going to talk about him personally. No, bro. We have to delve deeper into the malice that they've brought into society. This thing, reached international level. The Al Jazeera wrote about it. Kenya cult leader Paul Mackenzie on trial for manslaughter. BBC, Paul Mackenzie, Kenyan cult leader, charged with 191 charges. According to the BBC, the leader of a Kenyan cult who allegedly encouraged over 400 followers to starve themselves to death has pleaded not guilty to manslaughter in one of the worst ever cases of cult-related mass deaths. Self-proclaimed Pastor Paul Mackenzie appeared in court in the coastal city of Mombasa along 94 other suspects on Monday. Back then, Mr. Mackenzie was arrested last April after 429 bodies, including children, were dug up from mass graves in Shakahola, a remote forest about 2 hours drive west of the town Malindi. Most of the bodies show signs of starvation and assault. You're wondering, how is this man just staying in the press? I mean, the authorities, should have or could have chased him out, because this literally no sane man can just stay in a forest and whatnot. Well, apparently he owns that forest. The forest was partitioned into different areas and given biblical place names such as
Galilee, Bethlehem, Judea, Capernaum, Sidoni, Tiro, Samaria, Sychar, and Emmaus. In
March this year, the authorities released some victims' bodies to relatives after months of identifying them through DNA test. So far, 34 bodies have been returned. So what about the survivors? What do they have to say about this guy has done? Or people related to the people who actually passed away? What they have to say when maybe they investigated on their own? This is part of it.
There are some who live to tell the tale of their horrific experiences. 45-year-old Ben Amani from Hola in Tana River County narrates how he was lured to Shakahola in August 2021.
Nenda kule tukakaribishwa na wenye niliokuwa kule mwanzo. Nashukuru tunakaa pamoja nao. Leo mwendo wa saa 7 ndio nilishtukia askari hao, kama nilikuwa nishachoka. Nilitoka nyumbani nikaenda mahali kwa mto baridi kidogo kujituliza. Basi nikaona tu ghafla watu wananizingira na kikosi cha serikali.
The details of the radicalization remain scanty, but residents say they were subjected to fasting for days, taking a few days to break the fast, then back to fasting.
Hili jambo la kuomba si kama ati unalazimishwa ufanye. Unaomba kwa wakati ulipofika, inabidi ujinyime ili mwili upate nguvu ya roho, ili uweze kuyajua yaliyo ndani ya roho. Bwana sasa. Mambo mengi lazima upitie kwa roho.
So let me now read an article on what a survivor had to say about the whole thing. According to the BBC, survivors say children were supposed to be the first to serve themselves. Then they are married, women, men, and last of all, church leaders. This is literally things that you see in movies, bro. It's in real life. I'm like, wow, these things actually happen. And maybe these movies, they just, tend to like expose, but we are just out here just stupidly, being entertained. You feel me? It's sad to see, man. Any power, any influence that people have, they can literally influence us into this direction, and people are out here, straight out, losing their lives, and out here maybe some people, are saying it's cool. It's sad, man. Again, when I say when there's connections, coming up, people and things just coming up about this, and we don't put our eyes onto this, and when it starts blowing up and like, wow, okay, actually people actually passed away. We have to start now, bro. Start now, bro. We have to start now, bro. We have to change as a generation, bro. You feel me? And so that also brings me to my final talking point on religiousness. You feel me? I found two very intriguing articles about religiousness and what it talks about. You feel me? Over truth and mysticism, over truth and being blinded. The headline reading Faith and Foolishness When Religious Beliefs Become Dangerous. It says keeping religion immune from criticism is both unwarranted and dangerous unless we are willing to expose religious irrationality whenever it arises. We will encourage national public policy and promote ignorance over education for our children. We are the children. You are the children. Maybe you're that old guy. You are the children. You feel me? In some way, I feel like they have to be regulated. You feel me? Another article on the life of a coffee. Right, and the headline reads righteousness outside of Christ's religion. If you take a hard look at religion, you'll see that it is nothing more than obeying rules to attain something good. Many people describe Christianity as a religion. I know when I first became a Christian, I used to tell people Christianity was not a religion, but a relationship. It sounded good, but I'm not sure I answered what I was saying. It makes sense to me why people call Christianity religion. They hear about the 10 commandments and see Christians trying to obey them, so they feel better about themselves. People may say they are not going to go to heaven because they are breaking God's law. I am sure they are perplexed when they see their Christian neighbors breaking some of these rules. Even in Christian circles, an invisible religion can creep in. We read about the Pharisees and think it is ridiculous how they acted, worshipping God in a self-boastful way. But we can easily replace their rules with our rules, right? These pastors, Mackenzie and Ezekiel, they have replaced the rules. They've put their own rules there. This is what's going to happen. You're going to fast. We're going to meet Jesus because the end of days are coming. We're going to go into this forest. There's no cell phone network. We're just going to stay there, starve ourselves. It's going to start with the children, and we are going to be last as the pastors. You feel me? So, because you're going to see you in ascension somewhere. Bro, it just sounds mad and creepy, bro. Come on, it sounds creepy. You feel me? It sounds creepy. And this the other guy saying, preaching to you about being healed and whatnot, and telling you to give them money so that you may be healed. Adding their own rules, bro. Where in the hell did you ever hear Jesus, talking about, you giving him money to be healed? Never, bro. You feel me? And again, I'm gonna quote a Bible verse. My people perish because of lack of understanding. A lot of people out here, bro, are very blinded, bro. And it is time that with this video, I have opened your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, to see for yourself that this is very wrong, that you are being blinded by these so-called preachers who have this immense power, this immense following. Not to say that there are not pastors or preachers of the word who are out there who do not have immense following. But you have to see an occurrence, something, in those lines and start to question, things. You feel me? I like the way he said Christianity is a relationship, bro. It is not a religion. The moment that it started becoming a religion, that is when people start failing, bro. The way he said in the case of the Pharisees, bro, they were so boastful, man. They're gonna show the world that how pious, they are, and it shouldn't be that way. It's you with your God, private. Bro, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I don't know if I've made sense, but I hope I've brought light to something that is been growing in this world. And you may share, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me, have you ever experienced this kind of things in your life? Have you ever been blinded? Have you ever been, used in a very bad way, by any religious cult or whatever? And I'll see you guys in a bit.